Horn. She plays Kristen, Dorian Brown. She plays Ryan's neighbor and Wilfred's owner. Jenna, please welcome Fiona Gubelman. He co-created the original version of Wilfred. He's an executive producer, a writer, and stars as the title character. Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Gann. He stars as Ryan. Please welcome Elijah Wood. Our executive producer, who has worked on such great shows as American Dad, Family Guy. He adapted Wilfred for American television. It's my pleasure to introduce David Zuckerman. And we're very fortunate to have an outstanding moderator today. He is the former TV critic of the New York Star Ledger. He's the senior editor and TV critic for Hit Fix. You can follow him on Twitter at Sepinwall. Please welcome Alan Sepinwall.
So Elijah, I have to start with you. You get this script, you think, all right, now everything I ever wanted to accomplish as an actor is done?
In one fell swoop, yeah, in one fell swoop. We all just watched the episode for the first time. I did anyway. I'd never seen that episode. And I think that's our crowning achievement. I mean, it's got everything you want in a great comedy show, right? It's got jizz, it's got great dancing. Come on. Oh my God.
I mean, where do you rank?
And it's got a churro blowjob. Come on. That's what we bring you on our show.
Where do you rank the accomplishments? You know, starring in an Oscar-winning Best Picture or being in a money shot? I mean...
Yeah, totally. Oh.
David, I have to ask, how did this episode come about? What was the original pitch?
Is this thing on?
That was a personal experience. Is this on?
Yeah.
Actually, there was an interesting story about this where somebody in our writer's room, who's probably in this room right now, but he'll remain nameless, was talking about how he had gone to a party one night, and as a gag, he, just as a gag, he had picked up the dog that was there and was pretending to jerk it off. And, not pretending, sorry. He's actually doing it. And although I don't think he actually took the dog to completion, for the rest of the night, the dog was following him around completely obsessed. And that was sort of where we started on this episode.
The dog apparently still remembers him. Like, he sees him and he's like, yeah, you know. But in fact, to defend Reed, he didn't... he didn't do it at the end. It wasn't on the lipstick part. It was like just the shaft. If you ever meet Reed, he's the funniest guy I've ever met. You know, between him and his writing partner, Eli, hilarious guys.
Are you here, Reed? Reed, you should stand up.
Anything will. This guy.
Could the dog masturbator please stand up?
He'll do anything for a laugh.
We get camera on Reed, please.
Including masturbate a dog.
So how do you get from there then to Ryan and Wilfred dancing?
Well, I think the idea of doing an episode about doggy dancing was sort of floating around also. This was a story that we had actually broken last year with a completely different theme. It was about Wilfred and Ryan spending too much time together, and that episode eventually became the one about the block party with Trash Face last season. So it changed a little bit. But it was one of the episodes that FX, not for the reasons you would think, had thought that we weren't quite ready to do. So they asked us not to do it last year. It had nothing to do with the money shot, which, by the way, you will not see on the air. That is the one thing that we were not allowed to do. So you got to see a shot that only people on DVD. So you should feel very, very special. It will be a dry shot on when it airs. But we just came up with the notion of the theme and the idea of Ryan and Wilfred doing a big dance number at the end, and the story, came together. And Jason did an amazing job on the script, and these guys worked so hard on that dance. They did that in between shooting scenes from other episodes. They worked with a choreographer. They just busted their asses, and I have to say, you can't tell by looking at it, or maybe you can't. They're not actually natural dancers. They had to work a little bit, but they worked really hard on that, and the music came together. It was a really fun thing to do.
And Randall, I mean, it looks the final number looks very much like a classic movie musical kind of thing. How did you shoot that?
We actually used. We shot. It's funny. I have one frame that I sent to one of the production people at Effects. It's a shot. We shoot our show on stills cameras, kind of like these stills cameras down here, only not quite as high end. So we have there's a photo I had of our stills cameras, a $3,000 stills camera with a lens I bought off of eBay for $500 on a $300,000 crane to do those big sweeping shots. There's some great irony in that, I thought. It's just this tiny little camera on a giant crane. But we worked together with a production designer, Michael Whetstone, to come up with how to move the walls and to blow that whole place apart. And I think it looked really cool. A lot of fun.
Now, Elijah and Jason, I just want to hear a little bit from your perspective about doing the choreography for this.
Yeah.
Sorry, how was that?
It was challenging. We didn't have a lot of time. Like David was saying, we were shooting different episodes, sometimes in the same day, and to try and find the time, that was what was it, like a 3.5-minute dance sequence that we had to learn? And I remember the first time that we actually saw the dancers, our choreographers, lay it all out for us. It was so intimidating. Because up at that point, we'd learned little bits and pieces for that dance montage that you see in the middle, and that was easier because we could kind of bite off these little chunks. But this whole long sequence was very intimidating, but we kind of just attacked it bit by bit. And
it was the last thing that we shot in the whole season, and we were there till about 1 in the morning or 1:30 in the morning, and it was kind of surreal because it was the lights were on, and it looks like this Hollywood, 1940s Hollywood set, and the music, it was like a real finale type thing, and it was like, this may be the last time we ever play these roles, like you live from week to week with ratings and stuff, and it was really, it was a special time, and it was like, wow, this has been a fun journey.
it was cool. It was cool to actually go out of the whole season with that scene, because it's such an explosive, celebratory. Am I Matt? Dirty minds. But it's such a, it's a celebratory sequence, and to kind of go out dancing was awesome. And it was a real great thing for the crew to experience too, because it was literally our most professional day on set. We had a technocrane. We felt like we were making something proper, with proper equipment. It was pretty amazing.
And then we had Del Taco that night too. Special.
I know. Del Taco? That was not our finest moment.
That was a treat.
I want to ask Dorian and Fiona a sequel to a question I asked at last year's panel in terms of working with Jason and not reacting to him as a person and treating him as a dog. Now that you've done 2 seasons of this, do you feel like you've gotten it down, or are there still times every now and then when you find yourself kind of breaking and reacting to what he's actually doing?
Jason is one of the funniest people I know, and you never know what's going to come out of his mouth. So definitely there'll be times when we'll be interacting where that will crack me up. But in terms of being in the moment, it's still the same approach, just trying to keep it as truthful as possible and treat him like he's one of my own pets.
Dorian?
I actually did have a couple scenes. Like, we had, I had a scene, tonight's episode, we get to interact, and that was fun, but I did have a hard time not noticing Jason and not looking at him like a human being, because I guess we realized we had never really done that.
We hadn't done much together until this year, and we realized, oh, this is like, this is unusual, and yeah, it's good. I think that Wilfred and the Kristen character, we were talking about this before, should interact more. Look at her, she's gorgeous.
And
She's
Jason,
married with a kid.
And Jason, do you ever feel like mischievous and deliberately try to mess with them?
No, I've got too much on my mind in that suit. You know, there's not a lot of magic for me in that suit. It's been with me for a long time, but I like. It's been fun. Like this year, I've had the chance to see the response that people have had to the show, and so that's what keeps me going when I'm literally losing my brain with the heat and the exhaustion in that dog suit. And I wonder what I'm doing with my life. And then I remember like the response, the love that people have for the character. And so I just concentrate on that, and I just sort of forget that I even am playing Wilfred. It's funny. This is a bit off the subject, but whenever we start shooting Wilfred, in those first few scenes, Wilfred's rarely there. Like, it'll be like I'm in the suit, I'm talking like Wilfred in the voice. I think I'm trying to act like Wilfred, but it's not there, and it's really scary. I'm like, well, man, like, is he going to come back? Like, is he gone? And then all of a sudden, like on about the third take, something just happens. It's sort of magic. Wilfred appears, and everyone sees it. You know, David, I think you said it last time. You're like, oh, there he is. You know, he's back. You know, and it's just one of those weird things. The less nervous average. Nervous average. Yeah.
And has dog suit technology not improved since you started doing it in Australia?
No, it hasn't. It's like fireworks. You notice fireworks hasn't improved? Fireworks is fireworks, and it's always going to be fireworks. Oh, wow, blue.
Well, now they've got smiley faces.
It can't be overstated how uncomfortable that suit is. I tried to wear one of the ones that FX sold, which are much softer and more comfortable. Yes. I couldn't stay in it for 10 minutes. Yeah, that one right there.
Yeah.
Jason's suit is like made of sandpaper, really thick, woolly sandpaper, and the fact that he can stay in it even for one take, let alone multiple takes, or an entire day of dancing, is really a testament to his...
That suit, too, the one that in the dance sequence, is actually a hotter suit because it's like coiffed, so it has more hair, and it's kind of... Those are the worst conditions.
You really did listen to me. It does. It is.
And he danced endlessly that night with no complaint. It was pretty amazing, man. I was impressed. Not that he complains at all, but...
David's got a joke. He'd say, Jason shot the whole season and he didn't complain once. Not once. Sorry. I complain a fair bit.
Not about the suit.
David, I want to ask a little bit about Ryan's new workplace. You have him actually out there in the adult world. He's interacting with Allison Mack and Steven Weber and Rob Riggle and all of them. Does it make, A, why did you do that? And B, does it make it any more difficult to sort of use Wilfred in an environment where Ryan has adult responsibilities and is with other people more often?
One of the reasons we did it was there was some question as to how Ryan can afford such a nice house in Venice and drive a Beamer, and he hadn't worked for a while. And he was a successful lawyer, but I guess his savings could only go so far. So it seemed logical that we'd have to get him out in the work world. And one of the environments that we had thought would be fun for Wilfred was to put him in an office, make him an office dog. It's not as fertile a territory as we thought it would be. I don't think I'm spoiling anything by saying that Ryan's job doesn't last all season, and it doesn't end well. But it was great to actually have. What was fun for me, and I think for the writers, was to write an ensemble workplace comedy. after doing, essentially a buddy comedy for a season. So that.
I'm sure the people here have questions. If you guys want to line up, I'll ask one more, and then we can get started on that. Are there multiple bears, or is there just the one?
It's two. Yeah. Well, because we had a. Oh, I don't think I'm spoiling anything by saying we tear Bear's arm off in an episode.
Yes, you would be if you said that out loud.
It's a good thing he didn't say that out loud. That's fine.
Yeah, look, things happen to Bear along the way, and it's good to have a backup bear just to. It's kind of like
It's just
what they're doing with people, stem cell research, and you can just replace an arm, keep a human alive. One day that we'll be doing that with us. We're experimenting with Bear. So it's like Fiona says, funny stuff just comes out.
I think Bear is actually my favorite character in the show.
But you don't need like a specialized bear, one for when he's typing, one for when he's driving, one for when he's being molested.
Bear does a lot this season.
I love Bear.
We've been aware though not to overuse Bear. We have to we want to use him sparingly because we don't want people to get sick of him. So, or her. We never, if you notice, we never refer to Bear as a he or a she. It's always as Bear.
I've been told that apparently we did in the first season.
We did. We actually.
We said that it was a he.
Did we?
We did.
Only the guy.
Somebody just recently mentioned this to me, and I was like, "No, it's it." We said that? Oh. All right.
Think about it.
We ruined it.
Never, ever.
Oh, sure.
Bears always shows up on time. Never leaves set. Never leaves set. Always on his mark. You can know where to find him.
It's true.
Shows up every day on time. Never complains.
He actually was pretty pissed off you cut him out of that dance scene, Randall.
He's easy to write for, that's
All right, do we have questions from the audience?
Hi, this question is for Elijah. How was it going from Lord of the Rings to doing a project like this?
Oh, man. You know what's going to be amazing? I actually do look forward to this. I'll be like 50 years old, and they're going to be like, and it'll be some other movie, some other project, and they're going to say, what was it like going from Lord of the Rings to this? Well, that was 30 years ago. But we can talk about that transition. I love that. I think it's so funny. I've worked on so many things. It doesn't bother me. This has been an absolute joy to be a part of. I love this project the moment that I read it. I've never read anything like it in my life. I've certainly never seen anything like it on television. And the idea of doing something that is not easy to describe, that is quite dark and cerebral and very funny, was really exciting. And meeting David, getting a sense of where he wanted to take that first season, I fell in love with it, and ultimately fell in love with Jason and Randall and the whole team. And I'm so lucky to go to work today, to go to work on the show every day. We have so much fun. I can't believe the scenarios that we get to create and get ourselves into, and working with FX has been a joy as well, because we get the freedom to make the show that we want to make. It's awesome.
And with the Comic-Con joke in this episode, was there any temptation to actually make it Frodo, or would that have been too on the nose?
The alt for that joke was, I think I could go as Spider-Man.
Well, yeah, because the joke, right, is that the joke is that people confuse me for Daniel Radcliffe and Tobey Maguire. So that's the joke.
All right, do we have another one?
My question is for David. One of my favorite things about this show is the ambiguous nature of Wilfred. I think it's very much like Calvin and Hobbes, with the question of, is it real or just imaginary? I was wondering what your personal take on the reality of the show is.
Oh.
That's a big one.
Here's the thing. I think this is a show told from Ryan's point of view, and the whole idea of the show is Ryan is trying to figure out what Wilfred is, and we want the audience to be in Ryan's shoes, trying to think, reason through it the same way. A lot of people are asking me, like, what are the answers? What, solve the mystery. And I'm wondering, like, really? Do you really want to know? Because then why would you want to watch it? I think if probably need to do an episode about this where Wilfred teaches Ryan that it's the journey. It's the journey, not the destination. Enjoy the ride. If you think about all those shows that have mythologies like X-Files and Lost and Battlestar Galactica, there's a 50% chance that when everything is explained to you, you're going to think it's terrible and you're going to hate it. And there's a 50% chance you're going to think, oh, how delightful, and that was totally worth it. So just kind of know right now, 50% of you are going to hate where we're going, but you might really like the ride up till that last 15 minutes, like in Battlestar Galactica. We're running out of Love that show.
Next. This is for Elijah.
Yes.
What is your favorite part about interacting with Jason during scenes and everything? Just what scenes are your favorite?
Well, those are two questions. My favorite part of acting with Jason. It's a lot of favorites. I'd say that the songs that we come up with when we work. If we had a webcam on us while we work, it would be very entertaining for y'all and real embarrassing for us, because we just sing songs all day, and we literally have made up songs to the point where we made up songs last season that we remembered this season. So there might be a Wilfred and Ryan record coming out soon. But we have a blast. It's funny, the first season, probably because it was our first season and we were trying to establish our work environment and our characters. I didn't really laugh a lot the first season. I didn't break a lot. This season, I laughed my ass off.
Yeah, last season he broke for the first time on the very last day, and this season he broke on the first day.
Yeah.
And we laughed a lot, all you.
We have a lot of fun.
Where they're up against the wall right before they're going to sneak in Wilfred into the office. We must have done like 25 takes of that scene because Elijah just could not keep a straight face. I've never seen him do that before. It was totally unprofessional.
And the jizz
was very unprofessional.
The jizz scene where I was lying underneath and Elijah was above me and Randall did the jizz.
Oh yeah, that's Randall's special
with a hypodermic needle full of stuff.
And they had a camera on me, but there was no point because every time I laughed, I could not stop laughing. And I said, if we'd have shot that scene 100 times, I would have laughed 100 times.
Randall's a really hands-on director. He really likes to get dirty. He really likes to get in there, and he was the first one to offer up his services for. Because they were talking about how we're going to make this happen. Who's gonna shoot the jizz and how's it going to go? And what kind of material are we working with? He's like, I'll do it. I got it. And it was masterful work. It was bang on every time. Bang on every time. There's one that got in my mouth. We were like, we're done. We're done here.
Next question.
Hi guys, big fan. Sorry I missed your autograph session. This question is for Jason. What to you really separates this series from the Australian series?
It's in the Australian series of Wilfred was a lot more had less dimension to him. He was very very dark, and even though the new Wilfred has elements of that, he's a lot more fun. He plays characters within characters, you know, like when he's the diabolical scientist poisoning Ryan with chocolate, or being obsessed with, possessed by the spirit of his former dead dog Sneakers, and things like that are so much more fun for me to play. You know, I forget that I actually did go to acting school 20 years ago, and I got all these kind of different fun characters that I can play within the character, and also that whole protective side that Wilfred has for Ryan, which is, I must say, informed by Elijah's portrayal of Ryan and what he as a person brings to that character, that brings out this kind of protective element to Wilfred, which I think is just gives him a real yin and yang that didn't exist before. I tend to think of the Australian version of Wilfred as being kind of like the high school version. You know, it was in preparation for this. I mean, we did 16 episodes in total in Australia, and we've done 26 so far with the American show. So it really feels like this is the show that I was always going to make.
Next question.
Hello. My question is for all of y'all, and I was going to say, if you had your own Wilfred, what animal would it be, and do you have a name for it?
I did. Scratchy.
I don't know how to follow that up. We all know Scratchy. It's a wonderful dog. The dog I currently own, Barkley.
I would say my big 18-pound cat, Dragon.
My brother's dog, Henry, has kind of got a Wilfred vibe. It's great. Shame.
No, I would never have one.
My dog George, that's the picture of the golden retriever at the end of every episode. He sat next to me every minute while I was writing the pilot, and right after the pilot got picked up, he died suddenly. But he got some great lines in the pilot, and his picture lives on. So.
All right, we've got about 5 more minutes. Next question.
Hi there. I wanted to say I really enjoyed seeing Robin Williams make a cameo. Would you ever consider having Bruce Willis as a bunny rabbit?
Hey, someone with a North reference. Nice work. God, that would be wild, wouldn't it? That would be awesome.
Apparently Jason hasn't seen North.
I'm saying the good side.
He shows up as a guide at one point, and he's in a bunny outfit, pink bunny outfit. Yeah.
For the record, if Bruce Willis wants to do the show, we'll fight hard for sure.
All right, next.
Hi Elijah, this is for you.
This one goes out to you.
Oh my god, I love you.
I love you.
I was wondering if you ever see other animals on the street, or your brother's dog, and just can't get Wilfred out of your head, and what maybe that animal's thinking.
I think that's why I mentioned Henry. Henry kind of has that vibe. He looks like Wilfred, and he's complicated psychologically. He actually is. He's a very strange dog. He's very affectionate and warm. He's a medium to large sized dog, and he'll sit in your lap, fully cuddle with you. But he does this really weird thing where he'll jump onto the couch and he'll lie across me, and it's cuddle times, right? Totally comfortable while watching TV. But if I move, he growls, and it's no, man, you're the one who move and you're growling at me? What am I doing wrong? So there's a constant push and a pull, which really reminds me of Wilfred, and I can never quite understand what's going on in his mind. It's great. And I do analyze him. I do look at him and be like, what is up with you, man? What is up? I love it. He starts to smell, too. It's partially because I don't groom him enough.
Hi, my question is for Elijah. I was wondering, do you bring the humor of Wilfred with you into other projects, like, for example, Project Freelancer for Rooster Teeth?
Well, I mean, the comedy of Wilfred, I think, exists in Wilfred. I don't know if I necessarily bring that into anything else. But, I mean, in terms of sort of learning... I think I learned a lot from Jason, and I learned a lot. I mean, I've learned a lot doing this show. Comedy is not something that I was adept at or had much experience doing. So I mean, in further expressing that for potentially other comedic projects, I'm sure I would take my experiences here, most certainly.
All right, next.
Hi, I'm Kitty Lexing from Twitter. Thank you for the video shout out. And I wanted to ask, Elijah, is there anything in the script that you saw that you thought, there's no way I'm doing this, this is too much?
No, I think, no. No, I don't think so. I don't think there was any, I'm trying to think now. There were definitely a few episodes that I read. There were a few things that, well, the jizz. Come on, say it. When I first read that, I was like, oh, really? Okay. That's what we're doing. But I love it. It's hilarious. So no, I'm pretty much up for anything. I think all of us are at this point. We know what we're doing. I know what show I'm working on.
A lot of times we'll sit in the writer's room and try to think what's a situation we could put Ryan in to make him as uncomfortable as possible, like when he's hugging the creepy guy in the at the beach about the steroids. I just couldn't wait to see sweet little Elijah being wrapped around this creepy dude, just holding him close and pulling him in. And there's plenty more moments of that to come. So.
All right, I think we have time for one last question.
Hi, my question's for Elijah as well. I'm sorry to be attacking you with questions. I was just wondering if you've ever had any ideas or things that you've seen with animals that you've offered up for the show.
We all talk creatively all the time, but I don't know if there were any ideas that I came up with. Silence.
He pitches lots of good stuff, though.
Save the best till last.
I will say this about last season, that just one pitch that in the pilot, probably the best joke in the pilot came from Elijah, and that was when they opened the closet and there was all that pot in there, and Wilfred said, "We're going to need a bigger bomb." That was Elijah's pitch. That is by far the best joke in the pilot.
Ladies and gentlemen, the cast and producers of Wilfred.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.